The Real Mccoys, starring Walter Brennan, created by Irving Pincus.
Want you to meet the family known as the Real Mccoys. That's Grandpappy Amos, the head of the clan. He roars like a lion, but he's gentle as a lamb. And now here's Luke, who beams with joy since he's made Kate Mrs. Luke McCoy. From West Virginia they came to stay in sunny California. Oh, Grandpappy Amos and the girls and the boys of the family known as the Real McCoys.
Get at it. Where? Hello, Gloria. Pretty quiet in there. She ain't gonna be born today. Right down on it now, Sylvia. Right down tight. You gotta keep it warm, you know. How you doing, Francis? Well, Henrietta. You ain't hatched out yet, huh? Yeah, you stay right with him. You gotta do it, you know. You know that incubator we're saving up for? Well, we ain't doing so good on it. But you ought to know about that, because you don't want to get your hopes up too high.
Señorama! Come quick!
Don't you know there's lots of mothers in here that's expecting?
Well, you have to come and see the bone we dug up.
Bone? You don't want me, you want the dog.
No, Senor Grandpa, you have never seen a bone like this in all your life. Come on!
Well, what do you think of her, Grandpa? Well, if Dad don't take the warts off the toad.
Yeah, we was plowing along just as peaceful as you please, and all of a sudden we hit what we thought was a big rock, and turned out to be this big bone.
Well, that's the god-darndest thing I ever seen. Wonder what kind of animal that come from.
I'll bet it was from one of them big old animals that used to live around here about 1 million years ago. One of them dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs?
Oh, I've heard about them. Some of them were bigger than a house.
Yeah?
Yeah. Imagine a critter like this tromping through your cornfields.
Oh, when this animal was alive, there was no people around here.
Yeah, of course not. In them days, the people's all living back on the East Coast.
Hey, Grandpa, I'll tell you what let's do. Let's take this in and show it to the girls. I'll bet their eyes will really bug out.
Here, give me a hand, Pete. Here we go. Hold it. Take it. Yeah. Oh, hold it, fellas. Hold it. Just one goddamn minute. I just had the goddamnedest idea pop into my head I ever had.
Well, what's that, Grandpa?
Why, this ain't no bone. This is a goddamn gold mine.
A gold mine, Senor Grandpa?
Yes, sir.
You aiming to sell the bone?
Better than that. Luke, you remember when we was coming across country from West Virginia, we was coming out here to California? All them places alongside the road we stopped at?
What places you mean, Grandpa?
Oh, them ones that had the great big sign, stop, see the colored rocks, and stop, see the big lizard.
Oh, yeah. I remember the two-headed snake.
Yeah. You say, Pepina, there's one day we'd like to spend better than 40 cents just looking at them things, huh?
Grandpa, I think I know what you mean.
Was any of them things bigger or better to look at than that bone right there?
Hey, Grandpa, you got a right smart idea there.
Yes, sir. And look, Luke, at a dime a peak, why, the money just started rolling in. You know what I'm going to buy the first thing?
What?
Is one of them incubators we need so bad. Now, let's get this money-making house and get her polished up.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, give her a hand, yeah. Can you handle it, Luke?
Yeah, I got her, Grandpa.
Want some help?
No.
What in the world? Jeepers.
Put it on the table.
What?
Make room there.
What? What is it? Yeah. The funniest looking thing. Looks like a dog.
Over. Did I shoot Bug Dad all right?
Where in the world did you find a thing like that?
In the field when we was plowing.
I saw one like that when our class went to the museum last year. I bet it came from some kind of dinosaur.
Smart girl. That's just what I was telling the boys.
We ought to call the museum right away and tell them we found it.
Well, that's a right good idea, Hassie.
Oh, we got a better idea than that, Sugar Babe. You remember them stands we seen when we was coming across the country? The ones that showed colored rocks and such?
We're going to show the bone the same way.
Yeah, it'd sell hot dogs and lemonade.
I still think we ought to call the museum and at least tell them we found it.
Well, I got a feeling Hassie's right. A bone like this must be mighty valuable.
Valuable? Of course it's valuable. It's valuable to us. You never mind the museum. Why, you girls tend the chores around here, and you leave money making matters to us men. Come on, Luke.
Yeah.
Hey, Pepina, polish her up good now. Go on. Do a good job on her.
didn't seem to be as happy about our ideas as I thought they'd be.
Don't let that worry you, Luke. You know, women folks is all alike. They don't like for to have the men folks to go out hunting bear. But when he brings one home, they don't mind wearing a fur coat.
Some grown-ups can be the meanest people in the world.
What's the matter, little Luke?
Well, it's that old Mr. Sackett. He chased me away from the fishing hole again. Well, he says it's his property, and he doesn't want any kids on it.
Oh, that knothead. He must be just a natural-born grouch.
Well, he not only took my fish away, but when he chased me, I lost my pole.
Well, don't worry, little Luke. We'll make you another pole.
Yeah, and better than that, it wouldn't surprise me none if pretty soon we wasn't fishing off in our own boat, in our own private lake, catching our own private fish.
How are we going to do all that?
You just take a look in there, son, and you'll see.
Whoa-wee!
Hear that, Luke? Every time you hear one of them wow-wees from now on means another dime in a cookie jar. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Well, folks, I guess you seen the picture of me in the bone in the Valley paper yesterday. If you think that's something, you just wait till you get a look at the real, genuine article in the flesh. And, son, you're going to have something to tell your grandchildren about. Well, I guess we're all set. You want no free peekers around here. Now, just bet you give it a look and get your breath before I tell you the story about it.
Oh, it's amazing. Amazing. What a remarkable discovery.
Well, it's rightly nice to hear you say that, ma'am, but I'll thank you for a dime before you start oohing and ahhing.
Oh. There you are. You know, when I read about it in the paper, I could hardly believe it.
Yeah, we got a lot of new business out of that story. But you ain't heard nothing yet, ma'am, until you hear the story behind this here critter. Now, folks, this bone you see here is from a real, live, genuine animal that was...
Excuse me. It was not an animal. It was of the reptile family.
This animal was taller than a silo and almost a half mile long. Now...
No, it rarely exceeded 80 feet in length.
Look, man, that dime you give you the right to look, but didn't give you no blabbing privileges. Now, folks, this animal was so big that bone you see back there, that was one of his toes.
Oh, it couldn't be.
All right, Miss Know-It-All, what do you think it is?
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind at all. No, indeed. It is the upper leg bone of a brontosaurus, a dinosaur closely allied to the Diplodocus.
Folks, I'm sorry you hear that kind of language. Now, look, man, there's women and children out there, and I thank you...
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have introduced myself. I am Dr. Kirkwood.
Well, if you're a doctor, why aren't you out curing people instead of coming around here with your crazy stories?
I am a doctor of paleontology.
I never heard of it. But if any of us catches it, we'll call you in. Now, I'd thank you if you just let me go on with my talk. You know, folks, I'm sorry about all them interruptions, but there's a flapjaw in every neighborhood. Now, when you go home, I want you to tell all your friends about this here bone. And when you come back, I want to bring all the children with you, see? Because this ain't only entertaining, it's educational, too. And that's all for today, folks. Be sure and come back and see us. Tell all your friends.
Come again. How we doing, Grandpa?
How we doing? $1.80 this morning.
Whew, that's on top of $6.20 yesterday. You'll have that incubator in no time. And then we can start buying some of that other stuff we need around here.
Yeah, with all that digging you and Peppina's doing, no telling how many bones you'll find.
Hey, you ain't fooling. We might just end up with a whole chain of bone shows all up and down this road.
Well, come on, let's eat. Us rich folks got to keep up our strength.
Sugar, babe, ain't that pretty music?
Dr. Kirkwood, I'd like you to meet my husband, Luke, and this here's Grandpa.
How you do, ma'am?
Watch you, Luke. Don't say a word. She'll tell you how to run your business.
Oh, I'm sorry. I only thought I was helping by giving you the correct information.
Dr. Kirkwood's from the museum, Grandpa.
Yes, that's right, sir. And we of the museum were hoping that you might donate the bone to us. Don't you see, sir, that you really haven't the right to deprive thousands of museum goers of their chance to see the bone?
Ain't got the right. We found it on our property.
Yeah, if we dug up a mess of potatoes, I guess we'd have the right to bake them and mash them up and eat them, wouldn't we?
Grandpa, you know this ain't the same thing.
Don't you understand, Mr. McCoy, that by donating it to the museum, you will be contributing personally to the advancement of science?
Science? What does science ever do with a farmer? First they invent a milking machine to milk the cows, then they invent an airplane to scare the cows out of giving it.
Apologize for Luke and Grandpa for the way they're acting.
Well, now, maybe you can talk to them later. Now, you know where I can be reached. Goodbye, Mrs. McCoy. It was so nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm never going back to school again.
Well, what happened, Hassie?
I'm so ashamed. The teacher says we aren't good citizens.
What does she mean we ain't good citizens? Us McCoys has always been good citizens. Don't we work hard for our country? And when the government wants income tax, wouldn't we pay it if we had an income?
The teacher talked to me after school. She said she was real disappointed in us McCoys for keeping the bone and charging people to see it. She said that it was our duty as citizens to give it to a museum that belonged to all the people and not just to us.
Well, you mean she said we ain't good citizens just because we're keeping the bone?
She told us about Andrew Carnegie and Mr. Rockefeller. They shared their money and made a lot of people happy.
Yeah, maybe so. Bet if all they had was a bone, they'd think twice about giving it away.
Well, Grandpa, maybe there's something to what that teacher said. I've been thinking.
And now that's the worst thing you can do. Now look, everybody. This is a mighty important thing. And if you ask me, this calls for a family vote.
We practically just had one.
What do you mean? How can you take a vote in a democracy when all the voters ain't been heard from? Little Luke ain't here.
All right, Grandpa, we'll take the vote just as soon as little Luke comes home for lunch.
Peppina, it's Peppina's day off. You can't leave him out of nothing as important as this.
He won't be home until late tonight. We won't be able to vote until tomorrow.
Good. I mean, well, I guess that's the way it'll have to be.
I know what you're fixing to do, Grandpa. You want more time so you can bamboozle everybody into voting your way.
Not by a long shot, I ain't. This family's a democracy. And the folks has got to know the facts. Now, you can vote as your girl done please tomorrow. And if I ain't outvoted, why, we keep the bone.
Right, Grandpa.
Well, come on now. Let's get back to another checky game here. Kate sure spending a lot of time in little Luke's room.
She's probably telling him bedtime stories.
Well, Luke, you know, that plow's gonna need a new plowshare.
Mm-hmm. What kind you planning to get?
Well, you got a pretty shrewd mind, Luke. I'll leave that up to your judgment.
You're gonna let me pick it?
Luke, I ain't the only McCoy that's got a good business head on his shoulders.
All right, I'll start looking through the catalog first thing in the morning.
Now, why wait? You know, we're going to have a lot of money coming in. Seeing how me and you as partners, don't you think we ought to sort of figure out how we want to invest all this here cash?
Well, sure a lot of things we need.
Like what?
Well, the first thing I think we ought to get is some equipment so we can start working that rocky section of the farm.
You know that's the smartest thing I ever heard.
Well, you see, that way we'll have more land and we can raise more crops and we'll make more money.
Well, now that's what I call real McCoy thinking. You got a mind sharp as a steel trap. What kind of incubator do you think we ought to get?
Well, when I was down the feed store last week, I seen an incubator I think would be just about right. And it only cost $39.50.
Luke, if that's the kind of incubator you like, that's the kind of incubator we'll get.
All right, little Luke. Tomorrow morning I'll have that applesauce cake ready for you. Good night. Luke, it's getting kind of late.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you sleepy?
Of course you ain't getting sleepy. We got a lot of business to talk over here.
Yeah, that's right, sugar babe. I'll see you later.
Anything you say, sweetheart.
She sure keeps her figure nice and neat, don't she?
And them muscles sure comes in handy for churning butter and slopping the hog. Now, Luke, about investing all that money of ours, why don't you tell me some more of them ideas you own, huh?
Well, we could...
Now, buy some more calves.
Yeah, we could do that.
I knowed you'd come up with another fine notion.
Since you weren't coming to bed right away, I thought I'd better come in and give you a good night kiss. Good night, Grandpa.
Good night, Grandpa.
Grandpa?
It'll be law getting that kind of campaign.
Oh, hi, Grandpa.
Oh, did I wake you up? I tried to be as quiet as I could, put my fish pole in so you'll have it to use in the morning.
Let me use your fish pole?
Why, sure. They ain't nothing too good for my favorite grandson.
Thanks, Grandpa.
Now, you'll have a new fish pole of your own as soon as we get the money from that bone. I don't know what Kate's been telling you, but...
Oh, hi, Grandpa.
Like I was saying, you'll have a new fish pole if tomorrow you vote to keep that bone. You understand?
I will, Grandpa. No matter what Kate says.
Guess you figured out that cake ain't the only thing that's full of applesauce around here. Well, good night, little Luke.
Say, Grandpa, what are you doing up so late?
Well, I just thought I'd stay up and tell you the good news.
What good news?
Well, we had a vote tonight, and we decided to give you 2% share of all the money we make off the bone.
Senor Grandpa, that is wonderful news. I thank you very much. And Conchita will thank you, too, when I buy her a present with the money.
Well, don't thank me. I was happy to be able to talk the others into doing it. And another thing, we'll hold another vote tomorrow morning. And this is to decide as to whether we keep the bone or turn it over to the museum. I guess you know which way to vote. Huh? Partner?
Si, senor partner.
That should do it.
That's perfect, Luke.
Hey, we're all ready to vote? The good old democratic way to settle things?
Oh, yes, Grandpa, just as soon as little Luke gets back from fishing.
Yeah, there ain't nothing like a democracy to... What's that?
Oh, we're really going to vote the democratic way this time, Grandpa. We're all going to vote by secret ballot.
Another one of your tricky schemes, huh? But I'll tell you right now, it ain't going to work.
Wait till my grandpa hears about this.
Hey.
You leave me alone.
Out there.
This your boy?
It sure is our boy.
What's the matter, little Luke?
I'll tell you what's the matter. I caught this kid trespassing again.
I was not trespassing. Honest. All I was doing was fishing.
Well, I want it stopped, understand? If I catch this kid on my property again, I'll...
Now, hold on, Luke. Now, just a minute, mister. Seems to me like you're getting all riled up over nothing.
Nothing. He's been stealing my fish.
Well, now, that don't make no sense at all. Them fish come from way upstream. How do you figure they're yours?
I figure anything found on my land is mine.
Well, don't you think the good Lord put things on earth to be shared by everybody? Like fish, for instance?
Not if it's mine. Now, you keep your kid off my property from now on, or I'll have the law on you.
Well, now, that's the orneriest one human being I ever saw.
You sure was awfully mean to take those fish away from me. They're the biggest ones I ever caught.
Oh, little Luke, don't let an old chucklehead like that upset you. You're going to meet people like that all your life. You just want to pay them no mind, that's all. All they think is the chefs. They just ain't good citizens.
Well, let's us good citizens go inside and get to voting, huh, Grandpa?
Yeah. Let's take it. Come on, little Luke.
Voting. Oh, yeah, voting.
All right.
Now put a circle if you want to keep the bone and an X if you want to give it to the museum.
Now you.
All right, there.
Now you has. There we are.
Yeah, go ahead, count them.
4 votes for giving the bone to the museum and 2 for keeping it.
Oh, Grandpa, I'm sorry the vote went against you.
I don't get it. I voted for keeping the bone.
I did too.
Count 'em again, Hassie.
No, ain't no need to count him, Hassie. The vote's right.
Grandpa, you voted for giving up the bone? Well, why'd you change your mind?
Well, I'll tell you why, Luke. Sometimes when you see a fella making a fool of himself, it's sort of like looking into a looking glass. And when I heard about that poor excuse of a human being taking them fish away from little Luke, well, I sort of got a peek at myself acting the same way about that there bone. You tell your teacher, Hassie, about it. And Kate, you call up Dr. Kirkwood and tell her that us Mccoys is going to be rightly proud to give the bone to the museum.
Grandpa, you're the most wonderful grandpa in the world.
Now stop getting mushy about this thing. Well, get her on the phone, Kate.
I can't get over it, Grandpa. You're laying big as life right here in a museum.
Yeah. Well, there has been a lot of import McCoys, but I guess I'm the first scientist in the family. Say, now, folks, you want to see something real amazing. You see that right there? That come from an animal as big as a mountain. And that bone is part of his nose. And when they made him mad, he just stomped his feet and fired them out of both ears. You know, folks come from miles around on a cold night. Just to keep warm.
Why'd you go telling a story like that?
Well, I'm sort of a partner in this here museum. I figures my duty sort of pep up business a little.
Come on.